as the Member of Parliament for the good people of Sehwi Uyoso constituency. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I will invite the Honourable Minister for his presentation, and then we will come back to you for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a glare here. Yeah. There's a glare, you know, the lights. Okay. I'm having some glare, the lights are. All right, thank you very much. And good morning, everybody. I'm very, very happy to be here because MESTI, that Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation, usually we are a very little understood ministry. I wonder how many of you even know what we do. But suffice to say that perhaps of all the ministries, MESTI is the most important ministry. And I say so not at the personal level, but at the operational level and in the way Ghana's governance and socio-economic system has been arranged. Because this is the most pivotal ministry which coordinates and regulates, and there are so many things across ministries. Indeed, we sometimes formulate policies and even hand over to our colleague ministers, not because we are superior to them, but that is what the law says. So, in a nutshell, I have always characterized my ministry as the offensive midfielder of Ghana's socio-economic arrangement. So, as a rule, we don't score. So, we don't get all the accolades, mercy, that it deserves. But when we're in a strategic position to score, we score. So we are like the Thomas Partey of, if I may use soccer speak or football speak. Let me give an example. You hear of planting for food and jobs. Did you know that about 90% of all the grains and legumes being planted in Ghana came from either the fields and the research laboratories of MESTI, and or came from outside Ghana, but had to be validated for use in this country? Nobody knows. But of course, Ministry of Agric takes all the credit. We are not jealous of them, but we are only explaining. We are not complaining. You understand? The same thing that Ghana, you hear that because of what is happening in the world, that we are transitioning from dirty fuels to clean energy. You are seeing that we are the lead ministry in making sure that we have atomic or nuclear energy into our energy mix, to the extent that yours truly is even the chairperson of Ghana's energy transition team, the plan that is being done. But again, we have been constructed in such a way that we should know we are willing to cede the place and the space for Ministry of Energy to get all the accolade. But if we do not do our work well, for example, negotiations with IEA, and we have all these professors here and all that, if we don't do it well, Ghana does not stand any chance of getting nuclear energy into our energy mix within the next decade. So a lot of, I can give several examples. So, but let this suffice. So as I stand before you today, I want to make sure that at least MESTI is understood, because this ministry holds the key to shaping the policies and the regulatory frameworks that promise sustainable practices and technologies across all sectors are applied for our economic development. MESTI will play a very pivotal role through collaboration, coordination, and co-management in all sectors. And our mission is to ensure that our development initiatives are aligned with environmentally sound and technologically advanced practices, paving the way for prosperous and sustainable future. And in this presentation, I will aim to provide context for our MESTI's actions, and we will emphasize key issues and focus on areas which are cross-cutting in nature that guide our efforts. And then let us delve into these critical areas. One, my discipline will be anchored on circularity and circular economy. It's a new concept in the whole world, but it is even more crucial for a developing country such as Ghana. Number two, we will focus on climate mitigation and adaptation. Also, it's an evolving issue in the world, and we don't have to be bystanders, we have to be active participants. And then, of course, is very crucial as a developing country in view of what is happening, that we have to base all our actions on nature and eco-based approaches because of where we are placed geographically. We are a very diverse country climatically or by way of our environmentally, because we have forest zones, we have the transition zone, we have the lower savanna zone, upper savanna zone, and even these days Sahel is quickly approaching us. So we have to make sure that everything that we do is ecosystem based and we take care of that. And then of course we have to make sure, aligned to the last one, is the idea of sustainable development. We have to go on the path of sustainability. And then finally, we have to apply research and technology in all our socio-economic development and across all sectors. So if you align your mind to all these 5 key points, then you see that we have a very, very, very big and wide task. The glare on my laptop cannot make me use it. By way of policies and regulations, I'm pleased to announce that, so I will go straight into the topic and not go into broad things. So if you take policies and regulations, again, I will take the subject that I've said, by way of policies and regulations, environmental protection, then I will deal with the carbon market and climate change, and then coastal resilience and landscape management, scientific and industrial and applied research, and then I will close the subject, and I'm sure I will have dealt with the topic at hand. So if you bear with me, like I've said, please, MESTI is not a very, very sexy ministry. So it's a very turgid one. Some of the things that I'm going to put out there might even be frankly boring, but that is the nature of our ministry. So I beg you to bear with me. Now, we recognize the pressing needs for I'm pleased to announce that the National Space Policy has been approved by Cabinet, and this policy serves as a framework for utilizing space science and technology to drive our national development. Yes, Ghana has to be there. Space, science, technology. We have to be in space, not by way of constructing our own spacecrafts and whatnot, but we have to leverage on that technology because we can accept that through commercial means and aligning with other people who have the technological know-how. We can go there and then use the technology to develop our country very fast. MESTI is collaborating with several ministries and the private sector to establish the Ghana Space Agency. This agency will coordinate the development of human capital infrastructure and overall growth of the space science sector. Under the Ghana-Korea K Innovation Partnership Program, for example, we have unveiled comprehensive 10-year master plan to enhance the commercialization of research and innovation in our country. Additionally, with the support of UNESCO, the Ghana's National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy has been reviewed. In line with our commitment to global disarmament efforts, MESTI in partnership with the United Nations for Office for Disarmament, is actively reviewing the Biological and Toxin Weapons Bill to implement the 1972 Convention on the Prohibition of Bacteriological and Toxin Weapons. I tell you, MESTI is very futuristic. We are looking and scanning the environment so that those who hold even the last remnants of a biological, you know that, for example, you know that smallpox has been eradicated, but there are few countries who are holding smallpox virus in stock. They have the potential to, use it as a biological weapon. So MESTI is keeping tab on all of them for the benefit of this country. Some of our jobs are even better not be said. So that is how MESTI has been constructed. On environmental protection, we recognize the pressing need to address environmental challenges as part of the establishing a circular economy framework for especially the plastic sector in Ghana. And in this Ghanaian project, we have selected 12 SMEs to receive technical and financial support. These initiatives include discouraging single-use plastic production, demonstrating the production of biodegradable plastics, and promoting the recycling of PETs. You forget about the acronyms. You know, plastics, there are various brands, PET, ADP, and ADP, and so on and so forth. To tackle the plastic waste in schools, the Plastic Free School Project has been implemented in 2 schools, focusing on plastic segregation and integration of plastic management programs into the curriculum. We have collaborated with the University of Ghana and NOTPLA to introduce the OHO edible water packaging and compostable takeaway boxes in selected restaurants on the University of Ghana campus. You see, these are all tentative steps. We want to address the plastic problem. I know that some people are in a hurry. They want us to go by way of legislation. We don't want to be disruptive to our industry and all that. We believe that we will get where Rwanda and Kenya have got into now through a non-disruptive approach. And we are working in tandem actually with the private sector so that we use market-based approaches to address the problem of the plastic menace as we see. Because we are taking tentative steps, actual boots on the ground steps, but they are in the operational phase, so you might not appreciate them. My aim at the personal level is that by the time I leave office next year, God willing, when everything, the good people of Ghana will have given us another mandate, but for me, is for me to establish the framework and the institutional capacity so that we can go full scale and deal with this plastic thing. So you guys have to pray for your minister. And to manage, another issue is the electronic, yes, because it's a big problem, honestly. Sometimes it gives me sleepless nights, but we'll solve it. We've been here before. In all humility, I faced a similar situation about 20 years ago. That was health insurance, but that is another problem. So we'll deal with this plastic thing. To manage electronic waste, the ministry is implementing the sustainable management of electrical and electronic waste with support from the German Development Corporation, and notably over 315 tons of e-waste and some 37 tons of mixed batteries and 20 tons of thermoplastics and a little over 100 cells of CRTs have been retrieved and mitigating their harmful impact on the environment. Again, we have plans to scale it, these things whole up. And it is tied in with this Abogloshi thing that they used to burn that place. The Greater Accra Regional Minister has done a yeoman's work, but I said he did some of these things hand in gloves with MESTI. See, that is where we are enablers. MESTI is an enabler ministry. On carbon market and climate change, our efforts are to combat climate change. We have to develop a carbon market framework document to incentivize organizations to minimize their carbon footprint and adopt low carbon technologies. We are engaged with several governments, including Switzerland, Singapore, Sweden, and South Korea, the 4 countries. to explore investment opportunities in the carbon market. Notably, projects that are being developed such as clean cooking solutions, waste to compost projects, and electric bikes, among others. And the latest among them was this red plastic that Ministry of Environment, Science and we developed the framework. And in fact, we're either the second country and first in Africa, following the passage of the Paris Agreement, the framework, under Article, I think, 6.2, that enabled Minister Abu Jinapor, and again, that he has received a check for Red Plus. Red Plus is in the cocoa sector. When they are doing plans, they do carbon sequestration, and then we get compensation for that. If Mercy had not done this groundwork, there was no way they were going to receive that check. But again, the other time I met him and I said, hey, my nephew, next time when you are speaking, make sure you give your uncle credit. Yes. Coastal resilience and landscape management. The West African Coastal Resilience Investment Project is a two flagship initiative aimed at strengthening the resilience of coastal communities and ecosystems. This project seeks to protect coastal areas from erosion and flooding, and support coastal livelihoods and promote the sustainable growth of Ghana's blue economy. Another emerging phenomenon that Ghana will have to make. In fact, we are the forefront about this blue economy thing. It's a new thing. We haven't made, even internationally, there have not been headway. We are at the tentative steps, but we are at the forefront. Sometimes even Ghana plays the role of agent provocateur, that some of the things that we want the global north to develop, we are the forefront. Furthermore, I believe that Ghana's landscape restoration and small-scale mining project is an essential effort to strengthen integrated landscape management and formalize artisanal small-scale mining. Again, we are doing this in tandem with the Minerals Commission on the Lands and Natural Resources, and then part of the project is also on the Ministry of Agriculture. And we have piloted ecologically focused land use planning in 10 districts. Of course, local government is also in there. And sub-basin supported farmers with sustainable land management practices, and established a rapid response team to address pollution concerns. The 10 districts that I'm talking of specificity, it's not like we are talking theory, are Busa South, Kasina Nankana West, Wa East, Sisala East, Sisala West, Kwahu Afram Plains, Kwahu South, Bosome Fremu, and Kwahu West. So we are at the it's an upscale of something that Mercy did with, my officials will come in later if you have questions. So it is on that the World Bank saw that it's a project that can be scaled up to address several issues. Of course, that time Galamsey was not a big issue. So we are using the same vehicle to address part of these Galamsey problems. Now, on the scientific, industrial, and applied research front, that is even our main strength. That is when you mention in Ghana, everybody knows that Mercy through CSIR and then especially GAEC, that is our strength. But in this realm of scientific research, we have achieved a lot of successes. The president has approved the inclusion of nuclear technology in Ghana's power generation mix, and the Ghana Nuclear Power Program Organization, GNPO, will move to the office of the president, and indeed they have moved, to enhance coordination. And that's where I said I am, the chairperson of the Energy Transition Plan, but not with the GNPO, of course. They are not all related. I'm sorry, I'll correct myself. We have also received approval for the commercial release of BT port borer resistant cowpea, which will boost farmers' yields and add value to our agricultural sector. Again, CSR, CRI, that is a Crop Research Institute, CSR Crop Research Institute, Afumeswa, and CSR FRI, that I want to believe that's a Forest Research Institute, all in the enclave Fumeswa, have developed various innovative products, including hybrid maize variety maize varieties, tomato varieties, and biocomposite materials, which will contribute to food security, economic growth, and environmental sustainability. I've linked it up to planting for food and jobs, and then, of course, even the paired, they have to get, good material for planting. In addition to the paired planting, by the way, a lot of the oil palm is coming from CSR OPRI, Oil Palm Research Institute in the Eastern region. In addition to our domestic efforts, Ghana actively engages in international conferences to collaborate on our global environmental challenges and solutions. And that, at the international front, my men who are here, most of them are consultants. And look, my fear is that some of them will be pushed because of the experience under their belt. So if the brain drain doesn't happen among medical fields, these areas are even where Ghana loses. So these people who are the front, please, let's appeal to them that they should bring in a little bit of nationalism so that they don't go and contribute their experience to already developed entities. Again, at the international front, that's why we have the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP28. This critical conference, we will participate and negotiate regarding climate change action, strategies, and commitments. And our commitment, presence at COP28, will reflect Ghana's dedication to tackling climate change on a global scale. At this point, let me pause and say something, because I notice that journalists are here. This climate issue, that every year people say that our delegation is large and large and large. Please, with all humility and all due respect, it looks like the journalists don't understand the issues. In fact, they want large delegations to attend. And government doesn't spend too much money on its delegation. What you need is sponsorship. So we are going to go to COP28 in Dubai, November, God willing. All you need is a sponsorship, your plane ticket, your visa, and show that you can survive there for the number of days. We don't want bad elements to go. So Mesty is the coordinator. Mesty itself, our staff who go there, sometimes they go to negotiate on behalf of Ghana on the issues that I've raised heretofore. And they are the ones who get sponsored. And only a few of them. We even, Mesty itself, applied to entities for sponsorship. Look, I may make an analogy with like the Hajj. We want as many people to go, but because for the COP, it's like the whole COP wants to raise a mass movement of people worldwide. You understand? So the ethos of COP is not to restrict people. The ethos of COP is to make as many people as possible to come and participate. So when you say big delegation from Ghana, we don't even exceed our quota. They give us quota. But we don't have money. So every year when you explain, it looks like Ghanaian journalists don't answer me. Don't understand this. This is not like your normal Ghanaian delegation going somewhere. In fact, they want ordinary people, taxi drivers. They want farmers. They want fishermen. They want what do you call them? The traditional rulers, non-technical people who can afford to come to the COP, so that when the minister or his assigns, the technical people, are explaining COP issues, they understand. Because as you see there, you have your carbon footprint. You generate a lot of carbon dioxide even through your daily actions. So when you understand the issue and you cut down your carbon footprint, if you don't use your private car, and if the mass transport in Ghana is good and you use mass transport, a CMS bus, to go to work, you cut down on carbon emissions. It is important that you understand those issues. That is why when you have to treat the COP differently. So this year I don't want to hear of large government delegation. And when you go, you are a delegate. Everybody, whether you are a journalist, you are an artist, you are this, you are a delegate. So we put all the numbers there. I don't know this year's quota. So even if you get 2,000 people going from Ghana and doesn't exceed our quota, we are free to go. And it is not government, it's not Anado Danqua's government who's spending Ghana's money on those people. You can come and check. By the way, a lot of people even come and waste their time. They come and register. And when we get there, they don't even appear. So when you get this data, please, this year should be the end. In fact, you should be explaining to people, those who can, those in private industry and all that, so that when there's carbon quota, we have our NDCs, nationally determined contributions, so that when Kokofu comes say that you are spewing a lot of noxious substances in this, so you have to take, then you know that it is within our international thing that we have signed on to. That is why EPA is harassing you. Please. So that is that. Enough of, that's food for thought for you. But within this, the United Nations Convention, also to combat desertification, Ghana's participation demonstrates our commitment to combating land degradation and desertification and safeguarding our land resources and preserving the livelihood of our people. The Africa Ministerial Conference on Environment, AMSEN, through this platform, will strengthen our regional partnerships and exchange best practices with other African countries so that we collaborate. For example, in the Upper Guinea forest where Ghana is located, there are a lot of species which are under threat through biodiversity fragmentation, and then, through which would then, habitat fragmentation, which will lead to, a biodiversity loss and so. For example, so we have to collaborate with Cote d'Ivoire so that we create elephant, and then Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina corridors so that elephants and other mammals can even have corridors and migrate as the season permits. So, in conclusion, let me conclude from where I started and then come down to earth about and not use technicalities. MESTI is an offensive misfielder as far as Ghana's socio-economic and governance system is concerned. And as we forge ahead in pursuit of our national development, it is crucial to recognize that our environment and scientific advancements play pivotal roles. The policies, regulations, and research initiatives outlined here are a testament to our commitment to sustainable development, climate change mitigation, and technological progress. I'm very grateful for the collaboration and support of our various international partners, government agencies, and organizations in making these achievements possible. Together, we shall build a more resilient, prosperous, and environmentally conscious Ghana. I thank you very much for your attention, but let me say that some of the questions that you may ask, if I find it too technical for me, I'll call on my directors who are heavily present here to aid me in answering you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation, Honorable Minister. It is true, a lot of the things that Honorable Minister is mentioning, personally, I usually give credit to other ministries. So, as I was watching and listening to Minister's presentation, the guilt was all over my face. But as usual, I'll just smile through it. But I will only encourage Minister and the ministry to collaborate with the Ministry of Information so that when you would require such platforms or even opportunities for mass media campaigns or to educate Ghanaians about the role at the ministry, I believe it will go a long way. That being said, Minister mentioned some very, very important developments at the ministry that I am particularly excited about. They include, but not limited to, the management of plastic and electronic waste, as well as trying to get clean cooking solutions for Ghanaians. As a mother and a woman, I know it's very crucial to every household. And if we are able to get some of these solutions right, we will be able to put Ghana on the map as one of the beautifully emerging economies in the world. As you are aware, by 2025, we are expected to generate about $5 billion from tourism. And imagine if you are inviting all these people to come to your country and they come to see open drains filled with plastics. Sometimes it gets so embarrassing. So I believe as we find the solutions, you will find partners in us to collaborate and educate Ghanaians so that collectively we can implement those solutions to the benefit of our country. On that note, I would like to invite questions from our friends. If you have any question, kindly show my hand. We will bring the microphone to you. You mention your name and also your affiliation and then proceed to ask your question. Okay, I can see one hand in the back. Okay, then two.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Obed. I report for GH1 Television. So, Minister, during the presentation, mentioned a number of things they are doing to ensure that the environment is rid of plastic waste. Now, the EPA also has been talking about the polluter-based policy, where they believe that those who produce these items that pollute the environment should be made to pay more. Is this something the ministry is also considering to implement? Thank you.
Thank you. Please, John. Yeah.
All right, so my name is Timothy Ngembe. I report for the Daily Graphic. I want to speak on some of the policies the minister mentioned. From the very beginning, he stated that Cabinet has approved the National Space Policy. I just wanted to find out when this was approved and what does the nation stand to benefit from. If you could highlight more on this for us. And the fact that MESTI was also working with other ministries to ensure that the Ghana Space Agency is established. Do you have any timelines to this? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you. My name is John Awuni Kesben. I wanted to know, as he mentioned about the climate change and then his ministry being a facilitator, in the area of clean energy, according to International Energy Agency, the year 2023, the agency is spending about $1.7 trillion. How much is Ghana spending in the area of clean energy? And finally, he made mention of space exploration or space, something about Ghana. Unlike the Americans, their project is called the astronaut, and then the Russians is called cosmonaut, and the Chinese is taconaut. How will Ghana be termed? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We can take two more questions for this round, Mr. Lanza.
Thank you very much. My name is Musa Lanza. I work with the EIB network. Honorable Minister, you mentioned the landscape restoration and small-scale mining project. How far have we gone with the implementation? Have we been able to restore some degraded lands, and how many acres have we done so far? Thank you.
Okay, is there any hand up? If not, I will invite Honorable Minister back for his responses. And then if you have any follow-ups, we'll take that later. Honorable Minister, please.
Well, plastics, polluter-based policy. I believe the questioner really wanted to know about what we call EPR, extended producer responsibility. At this stage, like I intimated, I will ask Director of PPME, Mrs. Lydia Esa, to, because you might have details about extended producer responsibility as far as plastics are concerned.
Thank you, Honorable. So you rightly indicated The polluter pay principle is what is guiding the ministry in putting in place the framework to guide the management of plastics. So what we are doing is working with the World Bank to come up with what we call the extended producer responsibility, which is hinged on the principle of polluter pays. Currently, we are working on a legal framework. So whichever private sector entity, be it a manufacturer, a producer, that brings any products that uses plastic packaging to the market, the country will hold that company responsible for the collection of the waste after the product has been used. So we are working on the legal framework, and private sector will be responsible for managing the plastics by way of the legal framework for the EPR system that we'll establish. Thank you.
So to even elucidate further, you see, Ghana has realized together with other nations that maybe it's not even it's unconscionable to hold certain entities who use plastic as part of their packaging, even primarily responsible. But because of jurisdictional issues, we cannot hold, let's say, Aramco responsible. So Ghana is in the forefront of bringing an international treaty so that those who actually generate plastics from source, you know, plastics are gotten for a byproduct of petroleum. So if Petrobras, Aramco, the one for Venezuela and Russia and all that, unless we go by international collaboration, and I'm telling you, Ghana actually, and me, have tabled a resolution or whatever you call it for consideration, putting a levy on that. And when we get that money, that is why we use it to augment our internal EPRP system for those. Yes, I will just go and put in a little caveat. It's not like the polluter pays we are actually going to collect. They may not even have the capacity, but the financial burden will be on them. And we are negotiating with them. It's not like an imposition. That's why I say we don't want to disrupt the economy, unlike other countries. Sometimes if you go and say, oh, Rwanda has banned plastics, so ban plastic. If you don't take care, in these difficult times of our economy, you come and disrupt everything. But my aim is that by the time I leave office, all these framework things and the platform that we have to generate, whoever takes from me, I will have prepared that thing so that in double quick time they will do it. And most of the issues will then have been settled. So currently, I'm engaged in engagement with the big companies. I can't even name some of them because it will put them good light. They are happy, the Coca-Cola, the Nestle's, and all that. They want to contribute because they themselves appreciate that this plastic issue is a national issue which does not even inure to their corporate, good corporate image. You understand? So that is our approach. Thank you. And then the next one was space policy and the benefits. As for the benefits, it's so much. Let me start from the benefits. Right now, Ghana consumes a lot of data, and ministries, sectors have all sorts of arrangements with entities who provide data which use this space technology. There's no coordination, and we are not even getting good for, value for money. So if we scan around and we have this policy and embedded in it are guidelines as to how we are going to even get access data. Let me say that space does not necessarily mean that we are going to put Ghana, I want to claim our own local name, onto this thing. That is for the optics. Look, this gadget was known to, mobile phone, was what Neil Armstrong and others used when they were speaking, when they set foot on the moon. But it used to be a military secret until Americans saw that no more, and then became commercial. Now I can do e-farming from my farm, even now, in real time. So all the point we are saying is that the benefits, we have to get a policy which will guide how we will get a benefit. As for the thing about putting people, people on the moon. Yes, Ghana can negotiate. You can have 1, 2, or 3 bright young people that who've been to space before. That is not the main aim. So when you talk about space, it's not about putting people there. It could be part of it. Why not? UAE has sent people into space. Small country, they have money. So if you have money, we can put people into space. We either rent a place, either on a Russian vehicle, or who is that private man? Elon Musk. Yeah, that half American, half African. Yeah, so you can. So that one is neither here nor there. Even we are going to have space tourism, so we don't have to get a cosmonaut or an astronaut. So that is that. So about the what do you call it? He asked about time. Did I hear a time frame? Yes, cabinet has cleared it. So we have a communication plan. I'm not too sure that this one will be. They even asked me a question in Parliament. Actually, I've answered it. So that's it. We have to communicate. So perhaps this is the change initiation step. So officials here, make sure. But the Space Institute, there was a freeze on setting up new institutes. But I'm pleading for exemption in regard to this space agency, because they have everything. There is zero burden on government. So indeed, if you don't do it, in fact, Ghana is even going to incur losses. So I'm taking steps. I think I've written, I'm not too sure, that they should exempt us so that we formally put up the space agency, because there is no financial burden. But as you are aware, there is a government policy that because of our economic difficulties, we should not be setting up new entities. Then the climate and clean energy, oh yes, I've answered that. The landscape restoration thing, where have we reached? I think, who can best me? Director of Environment, Peter Derry. Peter, you are the guru. This guy, if you leave him, Ghana is lost. Let me stand by you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. So like the Minister said, the Landscape Restoration Project is an upscale of the Sustainable Land and Water Management Project, which we implemented for 10 years. Under the Landscape Restoration Project, we are aiming at rehabilitating approximately 2.9 million hectares across the different districts. So what we are saying is that we are not just looking at a very large piece of land of about 2.9 million hectares. No, it's going to be done in different areas. So please don't come and ask us where is the 2.9 million hectares that we are talking about. It's going to be distributed across the 10 districts that the minister actually talked about. So that is how it is. In terms of implementation, the project has just started a year ago. So we are still at the very early stages of implementation. And I'm sure by the time we get to the second and third year, you will begin to see some of the rehabilitation, especially in the mine-out areas. Thank you very much.
But you didn't say that the mine-out areas is an additional component. The original one wasn't covering you.
Yes, yes. Yes. Yes, so we've had to add the mine-out areas because of the issues related to Galamsey. That was not originally even conceptualized, but it had to be added because it has become a very hot issue now in Ghana, and we need to address it together. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take the last set of questions. If I see any hands, Nana Poku and then.
Yeah, good morning, Doctor. My name is Nana Poku from the Research Light. In Europe is considering coming out electric cars because of the carbon dioxide emission from the known cars that we use. Is Ghana considering? Because now a lot of automobile companies are coming here and they are producing the same old cars that we are aware of. Can we also switch off from the current system of vehicles to electric cars in future? Now, my second question, Honorable Minister, we operate open drains, and because of open drains, we have a lot of filth that creating some diseases and environmental hazards and things like that. What can we do, or what must we do at its way to name this very situation in the bud? Thank you.
Honorable, good morning. Pastor Femi Opokumi from Kingdom FM. Pastor, my question here too. The didn't kind yene honorable echo some talk akra and on waste plastic waste collectors and private companies now we are recycling no share and maneka say are buying no mobile delay how to collect plastic waste na work chrome no. If say busa honorable say so far sanche na kusi saying or money these individuals companies no are daily saying o ma share simple as plastic waste na and they told me so honorable can say okay something about plastic free school projects as if I see busa honorable there have been suggestions say started this plastic collection and wasting you find share basic schools syllabus mu tinkola you know they are how they are supposed to go about this waste management anyhow e be kono honorable need these suggestions to be aware and at the end of the education minister in terms of adding this education to the syllabus.
Okay, thank you for the questions. I can't see any hands, so I take that to be the last question. On that note, I will invite Honorable Minister to give us his responses and also his concluding remarks.
Thank you. EV cars, let me put in a disclaimer. What I'm saying is not the final say. You know, that's as usual. I've said policy, legislation, until we look at it. But the ultimate, or at least a major part of this answer lies with Minister of Transport, Kokwe Siama. But we are looking at our international obligations, our NDCs, and our contributions, and where the transport sector, their contribution. So when we link it, we can then advise a Siama. But what I know is that the EV cars issue, we are in a transition. Some of the electric, if you want to bring EV cars, you have to get a big capital outlay to invest and all that. Because if you are, let's say, to be answering in a practical terms, Accra Kumasi, you have to get strategic points where you can actually even plug in and charge your cars as you run out of, batteries. And then there's the question of lithium. And there's even this vexed question in Europe. A lot of them are doing what in my own private parlance I call rope-a-dope. The batteries, the energy that is charging these EV cars, some of them, when you calculate the energy which is put into it, and then that you see that the net balance is that you are even putting more carbon, in other words, the carbon footprint for the whole life cycle of that EV cars is even positive. So you are not saving anything. In certain instances, you are even making the equation, the solution worse. So all that I'm saying is that yes, even as I speak to you, you must be aware that Ghana is even piloting electric vehicles here, even as we and I call it, let's walk as we talk. So we are piloting. But as for policy positions on them, it depends. Even there's no closure on this matter, even in the advanced countries. Yes, it pays to learn. So that is why. So it's not like immediately go and then bring even the internal combustion engine. It's only on recently, after Nkrumah experimented with a little bit, it's only recently under Nana Dankwa Kuvato that a lot of companies have set shop here, even doing internal combustion engine, not to talk of e-cars. But I've always said that actually, because of the non-rigidities in our system, because of technology, in certain instances, we can even jump the technology gap. So it's not like we are being tardy because we feel we are underdeveloped. No, but we are looking at the issues. Let me give you a practical example. A lot of Ghanaians don't know that the penetration of mobile phones in Ghana, when I came back from America, we have better even penetration of mobile phone usage in Ghana than even America. Yes. And then when you even look at applications, there are several areas in digital platforms applications where we are even ahead in Africa and very, very competitive in anywhere else in the world. For example, the banking sector. It's not every country in Europe who has done what our government have done in the interbank operability and all those things. It's not everywhere. So as for technology, we are leveraging on it, but it's except that we are not bringing it to the appreciation of Ghanaians. And then, of course, when it comes to somebody, a ministry like Mercy being appreciated, as far as we are down. But you see, like computer, people are doing higher level language stuff. We are happy with the assembler and machine language stuff. So even when, as we are doing WhatsApp, you will see that there are certain silent platforms going on, back down to the digital element. So we are the Boolean, if you like, and me, I like analogy, so we deal with the Boolean issues, the 0 and 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, and then we come to the bits and bytes, and the others can do higher level, and then you get to your applications, and then you are happy. So to answer you directly, on the electrical issues, Ghana has appreciated it. We are keeping tabs on the evolving issues. Ghana through MESTI is evaluating all the issues with regard to the environment, because the underpinning of this vehicle movement is climate issues. Whether they truly answer. Some people in Europe won't let go the internal combustion engine. So they are looking at hydrogen as an alternative to the powered vehicles. It's not settled. Ghana has a lot of advantage in generation of hydrogen from residual renewable issues, because we are in the tropical area. We can grow so many trees, we can burn them through pyrolysis and generate hydrogen. There are several issues. If we want to answer, it will be a huge lecture. But suffice that, look, I say that those people in these two rows, they are some of the best brains you can find anywhere when this conversation is taking place, because I've traveled with them. And when I even tended to underrate their capacity. When I travel with them, they tend to speak. These professors and doctors, you will be amazed at the knowledge that they have. So trust me, simply put, we are keeping a tab on this vehicle, its evolution, and will not be left behind. In fact, when it comes to it, maybe we will even jump ahead, because our economy is like that. There's a lot of flexibility in it, instead of like Europe, where they are even rigid interests. They've put in factories that will have to be retooled or jettisoned, set up new factory lines to do this. We don't have it. So we are on a clean slate, but we have to wait for the arguments to be settled before we jump in. You understand? Fine. The other question was the plastics, open drains. Well, that Cecilia Dapa's theft. But again, we also play, and then Damboche's theft. We play a role to them. We do the research. For example, I'm aware that if you want to do a research about, we can use radioisotopes to tag some of these plastics and see where they are. Gaia can do that. So we have got so many things, and even the open seas, the coastal belt that we are doing, we are linking all of this scientific knowledge and putting it at the, in the hands of the other entities. If I go and do open drain, that one, surely I'm going on somebody's mandate. I can do it in tandem with them. So that is that. So I will carry it. Open drains, we've recognized it as a big problem. But you see, you cannot develop and leave your sociology behind. I keep on saying, if you go and do covered drain, how many times within 1 week it will be choked and we have to open and the silt and the clog and all that. And it's all money. So in fact, that brings me, this one permit me, since I have a captive audience, I will say this. Ghanaians, we have to look at the software component of our development. That's behavioral change. That is mental attitude. Those things, those are the real issues for development. If you go and build factories and you are coming from your home and your father or your parents tell you, baby, I do quit there. So 1 year and you now last no. I never know person. Ministry where I do call head there. So 1 year means if you have. What do they mean by that? We should confront those issues. When we are talking about corruption and that, it's a mindset issue. I'm putting it to you today that if the whole generation of Ghanaians do not want corruption and we press the reset button, there will be no corrupt politicians. You won't get even space to operate. But you want it. Open protocol. Protocol is saying somebody's child from Seviesem does not have a godfather, is being denied, and you are happy. You think that is not the ultimate level of corruption? That's not why you brought me here. Don't let me go into some other things. So to answer you about plastics, again, the Kingdom FM, you asked this in Chief, so permit me to answer in Chief, or should I go English? Here, plastics, yeah, analysis. The Brunisi fundamental issues. So I'm saying that here, you say plastic a waste. Mebwa. One who mindset issue change, won't go anywhere. Plastic and your waste. A secondary resource. First name generative you two oil, but say a bare resource. A whole industry can be built around the plastics. Ghana even is ahead. In this capacity, I bet my import plastics are yet to go Burkina, Cote d'Ivoire near the craft setting industry. Can you imagine the amount of work I bet my generate? Into first, you see a mindset change, the whole idea. In fact, a pebiety of my maybe some questions, no, our bemu. It is a buying cry, no, the Zoom lie or no more quality, now yet the frail waster. Let's just say, yeah, Jane say you waste. It seems to me, say, yet the Asham in some by administrative edit. I see a young who said plastic crown, it is no longer a waste, a resource. Now, if young handles our resource in a year, now I break it down into the micro and nano plastics, now enter food web on soa, a bit me hamo Ghanaians. So, ye reset mind, If now the EPRP extended producer responsibility ni ade ba no bi atiase na so officer Ebola my friend, and we have a difficulty again here. One of my favorite saying is action without thought is blind. You are acting like a blind person. But thought without action so empty. The making in a man find your juma. Not just a madrin no medical. Womb say yin na ya dream ya DCC any na ya too much on mine. Plastics, we need that kind of conversation. And no never you can't say segregate plastics. No, one will say there is value in it and you waste. Now means me yan she share our plastics no was segregating no sika that's no cry no. Yetiauka. And when I say, I am sorry for near dear in a Methodist ni. You can't say, boyfriend, for Toboa, for people, monies for people in penury and Adi. Sancrophone cry, no imagine, sorry, be or let's say, Osu, near the Ashon, San Ancrophone cry, a generative near your mom's surplus, because the biggest ye buy honor a minimum officials in your conversation, yeah, putting your mindset change. It is said. Solar or Daniel Paul. You see, the biggest problem is now who Banku rubber, any area see assume, someone may see assume. Now who ko 4 gallon, now who GMA plastics, now who overhead tanker at your top from a boo. They are now obefa. Mr. Munyimano. Overhead tank, and now did 2 scales, so obey 3 kilos. Now we imagine, say, Banku Roba, obviously, say the mental problem with plastic waste management in Ghana. Intina, Messi, what we call preventive system, and now plastic not seen system. In other words, you go super, ye facing or pilot face, me kind. You be far constituency, be a near constituency, electoral area be. No, near you whom in a constituency collected. O collected crowd, young carry, not for any additional bonus. No, sir. Now, yet this are model way, this is a process, a more impununa. What do you mean, ya drain say? Sir, plastics, na, your friend all farm plastics, another terminology, no. Plastics in Yanka, a we are seeing soon Banku rubber. Oh, you're back quality. Mpato Yimano, on back quality. Obian quality, Nanunsun articulate a bit chum or wale highway. Now a dear TC and now say Sande Mammy call Mira, if you say plastics a big problem in Accra, do a rethink. It's even worse in the savannah regions because of more topography and vegetation. And we have to come with conceptual framework. And say action without thought is blind. And yet theory. You may be a say one in a so I am very deep in Mudo. Mercy is at it, but again we are slow because we have to collaborate with other ministries. Make plastics, local government need to sign agreement. And to make a foul sika the one here baby crime and I double payment. But there is no idea by in a son you may win I say yet tro a your mayor Jumaintina. Rwanda, I had the obi omushe asientem. Na yensu yemfa na economic arrangements in this country near passive any problem beba. And no, and your excuse. And am I slow? Na me pen in tem cry chem. I hope I've answered you. And a school syllabus no dear yasha simple. Lydia, is that not true? Yasha school curriculum. Minister of Education, and also you've been answered. Thank you. I hope I've done. But we share me one there. I take all the conversation. No apologies for that, because Mercy is a suppressed ministry and Monty and voice. But having said that, let me thank everybody for their attention. I think I've enjoyed myself, and this has been very cathartic, because a lot of our frustrations in Mercy, I'm sure my directors haven't done justice to the subject. I have done. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Minister for Information, Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, I would like to express our most sincere gratitude to you for making time for this important exercise. I also acknowledge the presence of our Chief Accountant, Hajia Sawadatu Fuseni, the press, and everyone who made time to be here. It's our prayer that you will engage Ghanaians on our behalf as always and make sure they get